Shalom, everyone. From the Jewish community of Sedona and the Verde Valley, I'm Rabbi Alicia Magal, and today we are bringing you a program, one of a series on Israel. These are troubled and difficult times, and we need to hear many perspectives. And we are very honored tonight to have our member, Denise Israel, who was recently in Israel, offering one perspective about women of peace. Denise is an active member of the JCSVB, and during the years Denise lived in Miami, she worked with the Center of the Advancement on Jewish Education, as well as the Holocaust Documentation and Education Center in South Florida, where she lectured high school kids and at the Miami-Dade Community College about the Holocaust and genocide and tolerance awareness. Denise is a dual citizen of Israel and America and lived in Israel for more than a decade when she was a teenager and young adult. Now she lives almost full-time in Sedona, but also maintains a residence in Tel Aviv. And she's speaking today in her capacity as a member of Women, Wage, Peace. We hope that you'll stay for the entire program today. You'll have a chance to ask questions and come next Tuesday also for our next edition of this program with a different speaker. Denise, we'd love to hear from you.
Thank you. Good afternoon. And first and foremost, shalom, salam, and peace. So the topic that I'm going to talk to you about might seem a bit controversial for some of you. So I just ask you to sit back and relax, open your hearts and minds, and to all the stories that I'm going to tell you today. Each of those stories is like a piece of puzzle. And when completed, it convinced me to be on that path that I'm on today. The stories I'm going to tell you are about people I met in Israel while I was there in June, people I've listened to you in seminars and I've learned from. They're all people embracing peace. There are stories of life, but also of death, stories of courage and perseverance, of tragedy, of heartache, but most importantly, there are stories of hope. We all need hope in our lives in order to be able to continue forward, especially since October 7th, 2023, and even more pressingly after what happened to the brutal murder of the 6 young Israeli hostages on September the 1st, 2024. So I'll speak to you about ideas about a better future, ideas about peace and coexistence, about a future without bloodshed that is shared by millions of people in Israel and all around the world. A vision is expressed by many peace activists, individuals and groups in Israel. I will talk about the visions of 2 groups of courageous women, one Israeli and one Palestinian, whose members bring about a future, they work to bring about a future where mothers on all sides can hope to raise their children in life and not in death. And what could be more important than that? So you might think she's naive. There's no partner on the other side of this endeavor. You might counter that for what happened on October 7th, there needs to be reckoning, punishment, revenge. You might even become furious with me and those who think like me, and that's okay too. In fact, on October 8th, I too wanted to hear nothing about peace. I felt incredible rage. But after a few days of making sure my immediate family was okay and none of my friends' children had gone to the musical rave in the south of near Gaza, after hours of despairing at that prospect of what would now happen to my Israel, my beloved Israel, I picked up the phone to talk to one of my oldest and dearest childhood friends, Angela, who is very active in the organization Women Wage Peace. And she had been trying to get me involved for quite some time. And I said, you know what, Angela, I'm in. So now let me first be clear. I have and I will always believe and fight for Israel's right to exist and defend itself. There is nothing other than my children and my grandchildren that is more important for me in my life than the existence of the state of Israel as a free and democratic country with secure borders, a country that can continue to be home for every Jew so that what happened in Europe in our darkest days will never happen again. But that said, I have reservations about the direction my country has taken as of late, and I'm willing to give my time and my heart to help bring about the change needed so that all people, regardless of whether they are Jews or Muslims, can find a way to coexist in security and peace without the need and desire to eliminate the other. I believe that this can be done. It can be accomplished by changing the way we think and act, by changing minds one by one, slowly maybe, but with urgency. So a few of us from Sedona have been to Israel since that tragic 7th day of October 2023, and each of us brought a different experience with us. Each of us visited places, met people from different walks of life, and lived for however a short period of time a certain reality deep inside this small stretch of land that has for decades united us, but is threatening now to divide us. I had originally been booked to arrive in Israel on October the 16th, 2023, and that, of course, did not happen. It didn't materialize. And so I arrived on May the 20th, more than 7 months after that Black Saturday in 2023. As always, I settled into my small apartment in the outskirts of Tel Aviv. I go about my business, friends, family, grocery shopping. But this time was different. The country, while hectic as always, at the same time seemed to exist in slow motion, in some kind of trance, disbelief, uncertainty, in mourning. I stop at the dry cleaner for a chat about the matzav, the situation, with the owner Zohar, and he tells me that he is constantly depressed. In front of the grocery store, I give a few shekel to the old violin player, the one I hear playing most mornings from my window. And he looks up at me with sad eyes and he says, Toda giveret, yeh beseder giveret. Thank you, madam. And it'll be okay, madam. But neither one of us is quite sure. Everyone I encounter is sad. So one day I ventured to my favorite mall to buy a new outfit, and only to find myself huddling in the basement with over 100 other shoppers, young, old, mothers with babies. After the sirens started suddenly wailing in the middle of the day, we listened to the repeated boom, boom of the Iron Dome, and then we wait the mandatory 10 minutes before we are safe to come back into the open. On an Erev Motzei Shabbat, on Saturday, we demonstrate on Kaplan Street and Derech Begin. My childhood friend Angela and I, we carry Israeli flags, banners, we stand together as a group, a bunch of women all dressed in white tops with turquoise shawls draped around their necks. Despite the heat, women wage peace. We shout, we chant, we listen to speakers, we cry. We all rejoice together on the day that Noah Argamani and the 3 young men were rescued. And someone shouts, is there anyone who knows how to sing? And I find myself with a bullhorn in my hands. Sing, Shir HaShalom, the song of peace, over and over and over again. And I have a couple of pictures for you from those demonstrations. Jenny? It's me, of course. And the second one is my friend Angela with the scarf and me. And in the middle, it's Yael Brauder. She is one of the 2 co-founders, co-CEOs of Women Wage Peace. Thank you. And when the speeches on Kaplan, we can stop the sharing. When the speeches on Kaplan are done, we move on to Hostage Square. There, a sea of black shirts. Bring them home now. People look so tired. The mood is so somber. People stand together. Some cry, some hug. Someone plays a sad song on the guitar, on the piano, or a hopeful song. There's a long table of the hostages that looms long and dark. So does that piano. And there's a tunnel recreated, dark and full of noises, pictures on the walls of the hostages, of babies, and countless other exhibits. The walk after that back to the car seems endless. There's so much sorrow, so much sadness, so many tears. And from there, I also have a few pictures. That's the table of the hostages. And we have a few more. The two little red-headed babies that nobody has ever heard from again. Those are the spotters, the army spotters that were kidnapped. And the other one is a general commemoration exhibit. I think there's one. Yeah, that's it. So let me tell you a few stories with individuals about my experience during that last trip to Israel, because each and every one of them is what brought me one step closer to come to the conclusion that this situation in Israel is unattainable. Something must change. So one Shabbat, I get together with my family, and I'm greeted by my cousin's grown children, whose dreams and hopes have had to take the back burner in the last, I don't know how many months. And one of them, Asaf, he tells me they're leaving the country because he fears for his small son and for his unborn child. And we talk about the matzav, the situation, for a while, and he says, you don't know how it really is to live here in this country that no longer represents us. There is a good chance that in 3 years, the Israel we know and love will be no more. I cannot, and I will not believe that. But we cannot continue like that, he says. We are tired, and I can believe that. I realize that he has every right to feel the way he feels and to express his anger about the leadership of his country that he believes has abandoned him. You know why? And countless others have the right to feel like that? Because they are the ones who make the sacrifice. And they are tired. They are exhausted. But make no mistake, as long as they live in Israel, they will make that sacrifice over and over again. They are and will be the ones in the trenches, inside the tanks, in the tunnels, and in the funerals for their fallen friends. They again and again will give up their jobs and postpone their future. And they are the ones who will leave behind their girlfriends and their wives and their children and their mothers and fathers. And they watch their wives and their mothers cry. Those brave young men will leave everything behind to fight for the existence of the state of Israel. That's how it should be. One Friday, Erev Shabbat, and I visit my niece, Miri, whose 18-year-old son, the oldest of 4 children, will be conscripted to the IDF within the next couple of months. And I see the desperation in her eyes, because of course she fears for him, and she also knows that he does not wish to fight. That he always said that while he wants to serve in the IDF, he would do so without necessarily carrying a gun. And now the IDF needs fighting soldiers. And he is slated to become one of them, against his better judgment, against his will, against his principles. But he must enlist, and he will enlist. And his mother, my niece, will pray that he will not fall, that he will return without too many scars, both physically and psychologically. And that is how it should be, how it must be. Another day, I drive down south to the city of Yavne, halfway between Tel Aviv and Gaza, to visit my high school friend Sylvia, and I watch her 30-something-year-old daughter, whose husband is an IDF officer, struggle with her emotions. She endures countless sleepless nights when he is in reserve duty, but she will continue to say her goodbyes every time he leaves again. She will soldier on through her tears and her fear, because that's how it should be, how it must be, or must it? And I tell Sylvia about women wage peace. And she sighs and she asks me, Denise, do you really believe in this utopian idea of coexistence between them and us? And she shakes her head sadly. And I look at her, and I say, you know what, Sylvia? It doesn't matter. I'm not sure, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether I believe in it or not. This idea that peace can be possible. Because what matters is that there is no other alternative. Something has to change. This is the only path forward. The country cannot go on like that. And it shouldn't. And I believe in that. And then one day, Angela, who is the liaison between Women Wage Peace and all the foreign diplomats in Israel, urges me to come with her to a seminar given at the Arava Institute titled Jumpstarting Hope for Gaza. jump-starting hope for Gaza in the middle of a war? But I come because, quite frankly, I'm a bit curious. It takes place in the Shimon Peres Center for Peace and Innovation, and there are familiar faces there. Musicians, artists, politicians are slated to speak, Jews, Muslims, renowned professors. Denise Ross, the American diplomat and former ambassador, is one of the speakers. And there I also encounter Maoz Inon. Maoz Inon, I learn, is a kibbutznik, the son of a farmer and an Israeli entrepreneur whose parents were both murdered in their home in Netivei Ha'asera on the morning of October 7, 2023. It took many weeks before the remains of his mother could be identified. They were burned so badly. And while he felt overcome by the loss of his parents and so many others he knew and loved, that pain only strengthened his desire for peace. To save myself, he says, I embarked on a journey on the path of peace and reconciliation, to create hope by envisioning a common future and working to make it a reality. Maoz became a peace activist. In his quest, Maoz teamed up with Aziz Abu Sara, a Palestinian peace activist from the West Bank. Years ago, Aziz had lost his brother to internal injuries he received while serving time in an Israeli prison for stone throwing, and Aziz went through years of his own struggle before becoming an advocate for peace. And he reached out to Maoz after the brutal murder of Maoz's parents at the hands of Hamas on October 7th, 2023. And now the two are collaborating. Take a listen to a short clip from a TED Talk Maoz and Aziz did together. And by the way, Maoz is the one in the black shirt, Aziz in the pink. Please.
We are much stronger together than ever alone. We've been doing so much work on campuses with anti-Jewish and anti-Muslim hate, with helping people in our own community finding ways to organize. But I think people can hear this and think, so you can lose people in your family and not be angry? And I think that's a mistake. We are angry. I am very angry. Every time I read the newspaper, I'm angry. Every time I talk to one of my friends in Gaza, I am angry. But the thing is, I do not let anger, and we do not let anger drown us in hate and wanting vengeance. Instead, I think of anger like a nuclear power. It can lead to destruction, and it can make light. And my hope is that we continue to use anger as a way to bring people together, to ask ourselves, what can I do to make things better?
Yeah. And that's bring me to the most important. I love you. And it brings me to the most important lessons I learned. That hope is an action. It's not something you find, not something you can lose, it's something you are making. And I came up with this very basic formula, recipe, how to make hope. First, like love, you cannot do it by yourself. You are doing it with others. And you are starting, we are starting, because now it's we are starting by envisioning a better future. And then we are acting to make this future into a reality. It's act, we must act. And through the process, we always need to convince first ourselves and all our coalition and everyone that is willing to listen that our actions are effective. It's very simple.
Yeah.
It's very simple, and this is what we must do. And I believe that if we will be brave enough and brilliant enough, we can make this future into a reality in the near future, that by 2030 or before, there's going to be peace between the river and the sea.
You know, we say today ideas change everything. And I have an idea. People look at us and think we are divided because you're Israeli and I'm Palestinian, Muslims and Jews. But if you must divide us, people should divide us as those of us who believe in justice, peace, and equality, and those who don't yet. And our work here is to invite everyone, to invite you to join us into our work, into bringing everyone together, to take a stand that says, we are not enemies. Do not be mistaken. We lost our family members. We did not lose our sanity. We did not lose our minds. We are here together saying we will fight on the same side for justice and for peace. Thank you.
Amazing, encouraging. You know, I was really skeptical on that day when I went to that seminar. But if I had any doubts beforehand, those doubts were gone by the time we strolled out of the Paris Center for Peace and into the Tel Aviv sunlight. Then there's one more Shabbat in Israel and one more demonstration. Over 100,000 people. I stand with my new friends, the women of Women Wage Peace. They're determined. By now, I've met several of them. Yael Broda and Yael Admi, the two CEOs of the organization. Yael Admi, who together with Reem Al-Hajari from Women of the Sun, were declared Women of the Year by Time magazine and just recently received the prestigious Dayan from Fürstenberg Award. Women who, in a few days from now, will be recognized for the work Women Wage Peace is doing by the Clinton Foundation for Global Initiative in New York. And all the others who come to Kaplan every Saturday, rain or shine. I am getting ready to leave for the United States. A few days later, Women Wage Peace co-organizes a rally for peace in Tel Aviv. Among the speakers are Jews and Muslims, Israeli and Palestinians, young and old, people who have lost loved ones through those never-ending conflicts, musicians and artists and politicians. The keynote speaker is the renowned historian and author Yuval Noah Harari, and I would like you to listen to a short part of his speech.
פעם לא היה עם יהודי, ולא היה עם פלסטיני. לפני 100 מיליון שנה היו פה דינוזאורים. לפני 100,000 שנה היו פה ניאנדרטלים. לפני 10,000 שנה כבר הגיעו לפה בני אדם כמונו, הומו ספיינסים, אבל אף אחד מהעמים המוכרים לנו עוד לא היה קיים. לא היו אז צרפתים או גרמנים, ולא היו יהודים או פלסטינים. הזמן יוצר עמים. אפשר להתווכח מתי בדיוק נוצרו העם היהודי והעם הפלסטיני, אבל מה שבאמת חשוב זה שעכשיו שניהם קיימים פה. לרוע המזל, יותר מדי מאיתנו מסרבים להכיר בעובדה הכל כך פשוטה הזו, שיש כאן גם עם יהודי וגם עם פלסטיני, ושלשניהם יש קשר היסטורי ורוחני עמוק לארץ הזאת, ושלשניהם יש זכות להתקיים בה. האמת המרה על הסכסוך הישראלי-פלסטיני היא שכל צד חושש שהשני פשוט מנסה להעלים אותו, ושני הצדדים צודקים. הפחד שלנו שהפלסטינים רוצים לחסל אותנו מוצדק לגמרי, והפחד של הפלסטינים שאנחנו רוצים לחסל אותם גם מוצדק לגמרי. זו לא פרנויה, זה בוחן מציאות תקין. במסמך העקרונות והמדיניות שלו קובע החמאס שכל הארץ שבין הירדן לים התיכון, מרס אל נקורה בצפון ועד לאום רשרש בדרום, שייכת לעם הפלסטיני לבדו, והוא לא מכיר באיזשהו קשר או זכות של יהודים לארץ הזו. מנגד, ממשלת ישראל הנוכחית הכריזה בקווי היסוד שלה שלעם היהודי זכות בלעדית ובלתי ניתנת לערעור על כל מרחבי ארץ ישראל.
Yuval Harari, he continues to say that peace will only come to the region the day both Palestinians and Israelis can say with all honesty that even if they had the possibility to do so, they would no longer wish to destroy the other. War, he says, is not an act of nature. It is a human choice. And at any given moment, we can choose otherwise. At any given moment, we can decide to make peace. There were many other speakers, and we would need hours to listen to the whole program, but I would like you to listen to one very moving prayer given by two female clergy at that rally. One, an Israeli rabbanit, an Israeli female rabbi, whose name is Tamar Elad Appelbaum, and the other, a Muslim female sheikh, and her name is Itbassam Mahmoud. I will read the start of the prayer in English because there was a glitch with the subtitles, and we will also not listen to both women in their entirety, since the prayer in Arabic, which came second, is an exact translation to the one in Hebrew. And it starts like this. We ask to bless all of you with the blessings of the mothers, in the name of both our ancient and sacred cultures that always held on to their belief in the sanctity of life and peace. This is for all those kidnapped. May they return home soon with the help of the Almighty. For all those who suffer, all the children in Israel and in Gaza, our King, the Creator, who yearns for life, the one who heals the brokenhearted and repairs their sorrow, hear our prayer. And you can follow the rest on the screen.
שלום, סלאם עליכום. שייח אבתיסאם ואני מבקשות לברך את כולם בברכת האימהות, בשם התרבויות הקדושות והעתיקות שלנו, שתמיד דבקו ובחרו באמונה, בקדושת החיים ובשלום. למען החטופות והחטופים שישובו בעזרת השם הביתה, למען כל הסובלות והסובלים, הילדים והילדות בישראל ובעזה. מלך חפץ בחיים, הרופא לשבורי לב ומחבש לעצבותם. שמה נא תפילת אמהות, שאתה לא בראתנו על מנת שנהרוג זה בזה, ולא על מנת שנחיה בפחד, כעס ושנאה בעולמך, אלא על מנת שנדע לתת רשות זה לזה לקיים את שמך, שם חיים, שם שלום בעולם. על אלה אני בוכייה, עיני יורדה מים, על ילדים בוכים מפחד בלילות, על הורים אוחזים עולליהם וייאוש ואפלה בליבם, על שער אשר נסגר ומי יקום ויפתחהו טרם פנה יום, ובדמעות ובתפילות שאני מתפללת כל הזמן, ובדמעות כל הנשים האימהות שכואבות את הכאב החזק בזמן הקשה והשבור הזה. הריני מרימה את ידיי למעלה, אנא ממך השם רחם עלינו. שמע קולנו אדוני אלוהינו בימי הרעה האלה, שלא נתייאש ונראה חיים זה בזה, ונרחם זה על זה, ונצטער זו על זו, ונקווה זה לזה, ונכתוב את חיינו בספר החיים, למענך אלוהים חיים, תן שנבחר בחיים, כי אתה שלום וביתך שלום, וכל אשר לך שלום, וכן יהי רצון, ונאמר אמן. אדוני עוז לעמו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. شلום عليكم. שמי אבתיסאם מחמיד, רדפת שולם 95 מכפר פרדיס. מה שהיא אמרה בערבית אני אומרת בעברית. الله الذي يشفي القلوب الحزينة المتألمة، استمع لو سمحت إلى صلاة الأمهات، لأنك لم تخلقنا كي نقتل بعضنا البعض، وليس كي نعيش بحالة من الخوف والغضب والكراهية في عالمنا هذا، بل كي نسمح لبعضنا البعض أن نذكر اسمك، اسم الحياة، اسم السلام في العالم. على جميع هؤلاء أنا أبكي دوما، أبكي خوفا على الأطفال في الليالي، يحمل الآباء أطفالهم الصغار واليأس.
How appropriate, as we are in the months of Elul and the Jewish New Year is approaching, that she would say a prayer about the gates and the book of life. Now, after hearing about some of the pain of those ordinary citizens and watching various peace activists, let me tell you a little bit about Women Wage Peace. What is Women Wage Peace? Who are these women? And what is Women of the Sun? So let us quickly put on a picture just for a minute. That is from one of the rallies that Women Wage Peace did in some years past. Women Wage Peace was founded in the aftermath of the 50-day Gaza war, Operation Protective Age of 2014. Since then, Women Wage Peace has grown to over 50,000 Israeli members, the largest grassroots peace movement in Israel today. The movement is non-partisan and does not support any one specific solution to the conflict. Instead, it empowers women from diverse communities to build trust across divides, leading in turn to a unified demand for diplomatic negotiation with full representation of women to end the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Women Wage Peace enables women to unite and take the future of this small place into our own hands, from the political left, center, and right. Younger and older women, those from the center of the country and its periphery, religious and secular, Jewish, Arab, Druze, and Bedouin. The movement continues to refine its non-hierarchical structure, distributing its work among thousands of volunteers who serve on regional and mission-specific teams, including government, engagement, foreign affairs, digital communication, special projects, and strategy. You can take the picture off. So for any of you who are here today and who wish to make a create an impact and make a change, there is a place for you. We will come back to that towards the end. Let me give you now a few major points of Women Wage Peace's chronological history. In 2014, as I mentioned before, just after the summer of that 50-day war, 1,000 women from all over Israel gathered in Sderot, a city often targeted by rockets from Gaza, saying with one voice, enough, halas, to the failed paradigm of endless managed conflict. In 2016, over 30,000 women, men, and children joined segments of Women Wage Peace's first large-scale event, the March of Hope, including 3,000 Palestinian women from the West Bank, with solidarity events held worldwide. Women Wage Peace's first major collaboration began with Knesset members, parliament members in Israel, to establish the Women's Caucus for Peace and Security. At the end of the program, there will be a video, and many of the pictures were taken during that March of Hope. In 2017, Women Wage Peace's journey to peace attracted finally worldwide attention, as well as ongoing support from ambassadors and diplomatic staff stationed in Israel, and the person responsible for most of that is my friend Angela. In 2020, Women Wage Peace was granted NGO consultancy status with the United Nations ECHO Society Division and collaborated with Women Lawyers for Social Justice to mark the 20th anniversary of the UN Resolution 1325. What is Resolution 1325? The Security Council adopted Resolution 1325 on women and peace and security on October 31st, 2000. The resolution reaffirms the important role of women in the prevention and resolution of conflicts, peace negotiations, peace building, peacekeeping, humanitarian response, and in post-conflict reconstruction, and stresses the importance of their equal participation and full involvement in all efforts for the maintenance and promotion of peace and security. It states, among other things, that it also calls on all parties to a conflict to take special measures to protect women and girls from gender-based violence, particularly rape and other forms of sexual abuse in situations of armed conflict. And we know where that stands. In 2022, Women Wage Peace began its collaboration with Women of the Sun, the Palestinian Women's Peace Movement established in 2021. In March 2022, their historic partnership was officially launched in a festive gathering at the Dead Sea with the signing of the declaration called the Mother's Call. And here we have a picture of the women. On this side, you see all the women from Women Wage Peace in their white tops and their turquoise shawls. And of course, on the other side, you see the ladies from Women of the Sun with their yellow scarves participating in that declaration of the Mother's Call. And Jenny, if you can put that Mother's Call on the screen, I will read it out loud. We, Palestinian and Israeli women from all walks of life, are united in the human desire for a future of peace, freedom, equality, rights, and security for our children and the next generations. We believe that the majority of the people of our nations also share our mutual desire. Therefore, we demand that our leaders listen to our call and promptly begin peace talks and negotiations with a determined commitment to achieving a political solution to the long and painful conflict within a limited time frame. We call on all people of both nations, Palestinian, Israeli, and peoples of the region to join our call and demonstrate their support for the resolution of the conflict. We call on the women of the world to stand by us for a future of peace and security, prosperity, dignity, and freedom for ourselves, our children, and the people of the region. We call on people of peace from around the world, both young and old, religious leaders, people of influence, community leaders, educators, and those who hold this issue close to their hearts, to add their voices to our call. We invite our leaders to heed the voice and will of the people in this call to resolve the conflict and achieve an inclusive, just peace. We are committed to taking an active role in the negotiation process until its successful resolution, in the line with UN Resolution 1325. We call on our leaders to show courage and vision to bring about this historical change to which we all aspire. We join hands in determination and partnership to bring hope back to our peoples. Then in October 2023, on October the 4th, Women Wage Peace held a rally in collaboration with Women of the Sun. Some 1,500 Israeli and Palestinian women descended on Jerusalem and on the Dead Sea. On the shores of the Dead Sea is where they often meet because it's Area C, where it is easier to get permits, or it was easier before what happened now, to get permits for Palestinian women from the West Bank to join. They gathered to demand an end to the cycle of bloodshed consuming their communities and for their respective leaders to return to the negotiation table to secure a non-violent resolution to their decades-long conflict. This is a historic partnership of two women's movements, said Yael Admi, the co-founder and leader of the Israeli movement Women Wage Peace. She referred to the alliance with the Palestinian organization Women of the Sun, whose founder and director Reem Hajari added, "We started out as a movement with only a few lone women. Now we are thousands. We no longer will take the back seat." And I have a video clip from that rally for you.
Their lives matter not because they are Palestinians or Israeli. Their life matter because they are our children. We spent every second night in bomb shelters. Thousands died. But that is not where we are in Northern Ireland now. 6 months ago, we celebrated 25 years of the peace process known as the Good Friday Agreement.
We don't want to lose more children to this conflict.
אסור לשכוח שסכסוכים גדולים ומרים בעולם נפתרו, וזה יכול לקרות גם כאן.
نحن لا نريد غير حياة كريمة لأبنائنا سليمة وصحية نراهم يعيشون بلا خوف عليهم إن ضحكوا أو بكوا.
We hear that you say no to violence and conflict and yes to peace.
I am really proud to be a partner with you in this, in your peace building efforts.
البلد وهمها الوحيد المحافظة على أولادها. نحن هنا كلنا أمهات.
النور الذي ينبثق بفضل إصرار الأمهات الإسرائيليات والفلسطينيات من الجانبين.
קריאת האימהות שלנו, הזעקה המשותפת, חייבת להתחזק ולהתרחב.
That's why, as hard as it is, we must keep pursuing peace. We must keep pursuing a path so that Israel and the Palestinian people can both live safely, in security, in dignity, and in peace.
So as we see at the end of this video, only 3 days later, they saw their world collapse. We all saw our world collapse. And I remember those first phone calls that I had with Angela, in which she would tell me, no one here wants to talk about peace. No one is able to talk about peace. And it was really hard to think and talk about peace, but after the initial shock, we emerged more determined than ever. I don't have to tell you much about the horrors of October 7th, 2023. We all have seen and heard enough. It was every mother's nightmare, every human being's nightmare for that matter. The massacre in the towns and the kibbutzim near the Gaza border will go down in history as the darkest hour of the Jewish people, definitely since the Holocaust. Whoever heard of kidnapping babies, children? How can you cold-bloodedly murder young people at a music festival and then record it and boast about it on social media? How can anyone? And I could go on and on, but as we say in Arabic, halas, enough. Let's be done with the madness. No wrong perpetrated on one side can justify the response on the other. The cycle has to be broken, and there is no more urgent, no more better time than now. In the face of the atrocities committed, we must stop and ask ourselves, where do we go from here? And the answer, in the words of so many, but let me please quote one, Vivian Silver, a peace activist and one of the founders of Women Reach Peace, who was brutally murdered in her home in Kibbutz Be'eri on October 7th, 2023. She said, the only way to be safe is peace. Military force will never give us security. And here we have Vivian, an active peace activist, Canadian, Israeli citizen. May she rest in peace. So even after all that happened, Admi and Hajare, the two women leaders of Women Reach Peace and Women of the Sun, say they have no intention of letting despair stymie their efforts. Perhaps because it was despair that brought them to this work in the first place. For Admi, the death of her eldest brother, Shairon, in 1969 during fighting between Egypt and Israel when she was only 12 years old, spurred a lifetime of peace activism. It ultimately inspired her to co-found Women Reach Peace in 2014 after another horrible cycle of war in Gaza. And now in its 10th year, the group claims some 50,000 members across the country who are committed to its nonpartisan call for peace. Hajadre turned to activism out of fear that her children, growing up under the shadow of Israel's military occupation in the West Bank, could end up being imprisoned, wounded, or worse. In founding Women of the Sun in 2021, she hoped to empower Palestinian women who remain largely absent from the male-dominated public arena to have greater political awareness. We believe women are strong, and when you put a woman in the right place and you educate her, she will be powerful. Hajare says that at the start of the war, Women of the Sun counted some 2,500 members in the West Bank, where it is headquartered, and roughly 300 in Gaza, at least 27 of whom have now been killed. While neither Women Wage Peace nor Women of the Sun advocates a particular political solution, both organizations believe that a mutually agreed upon non-violent resolution is vital, and that its absence means Israeli and Palestinian women and their children will continue to pay the price. We said all the time that we have to solve this conflict as soon as possible because it's a ticking bomb. It will kill all of us, Admi says. Now, when you see this crisis, this terrible war, how can we suffer it and continue on the same path? And while each organization focuses on its respective community, they also dedicate time to working with each other, a prerequisite as they see it for asking their leaders to do the same. Their principal achievements is the Mother's Call, this joint declaration that I read to you. Underpinning the call is the belief that women's participation can only strengthen efforts, a credo supported by research in former conflict zones that shows that peace negotiations involving women tend to be stronger and more durable. And so the work of Women Wage Peace and Women of the Sun continues. Back in December 2023, the two organizations were jointly nominated for the 2024 Nobel Peace Prize. On March the 5th in 2024, artists, actors, activists, and more gathered in West Hollywood in California to celebrate 2024 Time Women of the Year, a selection of 12 female trailblazers across industries who are fighting for equality, justice, and a better future around the globe. Let's see those 12 women. There they are, and you also have a picture of Reem Hajare from Women of the Sun and Yael Admi of Women Wage Peace. In May 2024, the Pope was presented with and signed the Mother's Call in Verona in Italy. On August 28th, just a little while ago, in 2024, Yael Admi of Women Wage Peace and Reem Hajadre of Women of the Sun received the prestigious Diane von Fürstenberg Award in Venice, Italy, which recognizes extraordinary women who are dedicated to transforming the lives of other women around the world. Here are some excerpts from Dr. Yael Admi's acceptance speech. My heart is broken because of the suffering that so many Israelis and Palestinians are going through in these terrible days. But I'm also hopeful because within all this deep pain, I also find a lot of hope and commitment to continue the journey for peace, to stop the terrible cycle of bloodshed. This moving event gives us the motivation to continue in our peace building. Thank you so much. She continues, precisely now, in this deep rift we are all in, we have an historical opportunity to make sure this terrible war is the last war between the sea and the Jordan River. As women, our determination, creativity, and devotion are crucial to finding sustainable solutions that ensure safety and prosperity for all. We believe that only a brave female partnership can achieve this. Actually, there are no two sides to this conflict. There is only one side, of mothers who want to raise children for life and not for death. Together, we wrote the Israeli and Palestinian Mother's Call. Help us amplify our common cry to make it resonate in every corner of the world. The future of our children and grandchildren is in our hands. It is time to bring the hostages home, to stop the war and to recover the damages and find the way to peace for all. As I wind down now my presentation, I would like you to consider signing the Mother's Call. You will find it on the webpage of Women Wage Peace, which is womenwagepeace.org.il. And it is on that webpage that you can also decide if you would like to donate to the organization. If you would like to join in the effort to bring a change to the region, please contact me and I will direct you. There is a place for every one of you. So let's make a change. Let's make peace. I would like to conclude this with a recording of a song by Israeli artist Yael Deckelbaum, which became the hymn of Women Wage Peace, as well as Women of the Sun, in 2016 during the March of Hope. It is a song called Prayers of the Mothers. It is performed by her and a group of both Israeli and Arab women. It is sung in Hebrew, in Arabic, and in English. And after that, we will open for Q&A.
רכישת רוח ים מנשבת מאי שם וכביסה מתנפנפת לצילי החומה بين الأرض والسماء ناس كتير بعيشوا سوا ما تخافوا تحلموا بالسلام والأمان متى يمسوا خمات بخات ושבתי מגלותי יפתחו שעריי אל הטוב האמיתי
I want to thank you for standing up for peace alongside your Palestinian sisters. I want to thank you and to let you know that in the world that we live in, peace is possible only when women of integrity and faith stand up for the future of their children. Congratulations. It is my hope that you will continue to battle for peace in a constructive way. And I look forward to the day that I will come and join you. Thank you for the children of Israel. Thank you for the children of Palestine. Thank you. Peace. Shalom.
From the north to the south, from the west to the east, hear the prayer of the mothers. Bring them peace, bring them peace. From the north to the south, from the west to the east.
So I would like to just add that the lady that spoke, she received the Nobel Peace Prize. She was from Nigeria. I don't remember her name right out, wouldn't able to pronounce it anyway. But she is a Nobel Peace Prize winner. She was very influential in the peace negotiations in Nigeria. And so thank you for listening. I give the podium to Alicia. Again, shalom, peace, and salam.
Thank you, Denise. I have to catch my breath. It was very powerful and such a different take on how to move from horror to healing. We've been listening to news of all the attacks and atrocities and losses. And so it's time that we look at possibilities of turning things around. And it really is about education, isn't it? About teaching children that other children are not an enemy. And if all the mothers could say, this has to be taken out of our kindergarten books, in at least what I know of the Muslim education in the Arab quarters, I want to see mutual respect like you've shown in these clips, like you've seen in the meetings you've gone to, like you've heard in these declarations. I've seen it in Seeds of Peace and the summer camps for Israeli and Arab kids. I've seen that there are many organizations working together to make life beautiful for all Toshbei Haaretz, all the people who live in this land.
Hopefully.
And I just wonder how to get over that that sense now that only force will make the other side give in. And that's where we are. We're at this stalemate. So I hope that your voice and the voice of all of these marvelous women, and I will look at their website, can be heard. You know, the same thing happened after World War I. The women joined together and said, no more war. And look, there's Second World War and all the wars after that. We have to learn better how to make our voices heard. We care for our children. I care for your children. I care for all the children. And I'm constantly looking for that balance between security, safety, and reaching out somehow together.
I think just that we have to look for security and safety in coexistence. We have to break that cycle. We have to just decide that it's not working. I didn't give Yuval Harari's full speech in that segment, but he says with a little bit of a cynical humor there that is, we haven't been that great at making peace. And then he continues and he says, well, we haven't been that great at making war either. And it doesn't keep us from making one after the other. And every time we do, we go closer to the abyss. And so I think we have to stop reminding ourselves all the time what who did to the other, and just create that hope that Mao Zedong speaks of, create that, he says hope is a verb, and listen to people like Yuval Harari, like Women Wage Peace, like and realize that we are all there together, and that the Israeli people are not going to go anywhere, but that the Palestinian people aren't going to go anywhere either, and that we will have to find a way. And I fear if we don't.
The fear is real. The hope is real.
That we have no way of continuing.
I understand. I wear this pin every day to bring the hostages home, and I'm in touch with people in Israel as you are. And you know, there's a huge range of opinions in Israel, as there are, with all people, and especially with our people. But I have to say, if only they would stop bombing and trying to say that they want to annihilate us, there would be peace. We didn't start this. Anyway, we don't want to go back to all the history, but it seems to me that we've offered peace many times and that we need to have a partner. So I'm not going to start back over where exactly you started. Many opinions are
the way
presented, and you and I are children of Holocaust survivors, so we have a built-in kind of trauma where we want to defend our people. I must say that, and I really hope that the next generation can somehow come to some understanding of acknowledging the history and the narrative, the trauma, the suffering, the building, the good things of both of our peoples.
Of both of our peoples, yes, absolutely. And a beautiful thing that I've heard also over and over again, that is that in order to work in making a change, you don't have to be pro-Israeli, you don't have to be pro-Palestinian, you just have to be pro-peace. And I hope that I know that strength lies in numbers, and that if there are enough people who learn about the fact that there are Israelis who want coexistence, that there are Palestinians who want coexistence, that the numbers will swell and grow, and there will be more and more people who will push towards that opportunity of coexistence. I don't see another way. As much as
probably is no other way, and there must be education of people in the academic world and in our colleges and with young people, because they're not understanding the Israeli deep connection with the land of Israel, and they're going straight to pro-Palestinian protests, and this is very difficult to experience when all we want is to extend our hand to peace. It's in the Declaration of Independence of Israel that we extend our hands.
Let's open it for other people who have questions, because the Palestinian people see it exactly mirrored the way that we see it. Not that I'm I'm not that left-wing that I am going crazy with, us having to vanish so that the Palestinians can have a land. But that's the tragedy of this. They see it this way. That's what Yuval Harari says. They see it this way, we see it that way, and nobody gets anywhere. So we have to change our way, our trajectory. And I would like to be able to get to, if I could, if I'm only strong enough, to get to college people, to anybody who is willing to listen. You want to go to the barricades? Don't go to the barricades for one and for the other. Go to the barricades for peace. Go to the barricades for understanding, for coexistence. Forget one side and the other side. It's not going to work.